I'm Rachel and welcome to Rachel's Remedies. Today we're going to be talking about bone broth. You probably already know the importance of bone broth, but broth is rich in glycine, which is extremely anti-inflammatory. It's one of the most powerful healing foods on the earth. It has collagen peptides, which help build your gut back up. It's filled with glucosamine and chondroitin, which is for your joints. The gelatin in the chicken broth actually builds your skin from the inside out. It's so much better than Botox. You can build your skin nutrients from the inside out by drinking chicken broth. Cooking chicken broth in the pressure cooker, I do it in 2 hours. And has the most gelatin of any bone broth. I used to simmer for 12 hours in the stove, and now with a pressure cooker, I can have my bone broth in a couple of hours. So this episode will be about making your chicken broth in the pressure cooker. Our high carb diets for so many years that we need this. We need bone broth. It's such an essential, basic, elemental thing that people have done for centuries, and we've just let go of in the 20th century. And now that everyone's so sick, we're trying to find out why and how to bring healing back into our home. Bone broth is one of the best ways to bring healing back into your household, back into your family, back into your life. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy restoring nourishing foods to your system and to your children. If I could do it over again, I would have bought baby bottles and weaned them off breast milk onto bone broth. That's what I would have fed my children when they got off of breast milk. Okay, so before I start making my chicken broth, I go outside to my rosemary bush and I pick off some rosemary leaves. So I'm gonna take you with me. Great, so I have my rosemary, and easy all week, all month. Whenever I have an organic whole chicken that I make, I roast my chickens, a couple of chickens like every 10 days, and then I freeze the bones. I don't want to make at a time. Put them, if they're going to be in the refrigerator, they need to be in glass. If they're not in glass, they will make the whole refrigerator smell. Is my favorite. These skins, keep your skins, and I'm going to put, okay, so I'm keeping my skins, I'm putting my onion in my food processor, and I'm just going to pulse. This machine is around $100 at Costco. I will not be chopping onions for another 2 weeks, which to me is so worth it. Wow. So you did take some time and at another time in the week, hopefully, to do some prep work. You chopped your garlic, and the way I keep my garlic is I keep it in a little glass container with a snap lid in the fridge. And if I fill up that container with olive oil, you can't smell the garlic. So that's how my garlic's already ready. My onions, I chopped ahead of time and put in the freezer, and because they were pretty stinky. So I froze them to kind of get that smell off of them a little bit. I'm using leftover zucchini noodles in this recipe just because I had them. Just look in your fridge. If there's any vegetables that you need to go ahead and use, just throw them in. Some people go ahead and keep the ends of celery and the ends of things all week in a bag. I tried doing that, but then it goes bad before I make my broth. So I just look in the fridge and grab whatever is in there. And so those few items were already chopped, already ready. It probably took me, a minute to get those out. The apple cider vinegar is a necessary ingredient, as is cold water, because those two things help pull the gelatin out of your chicken bones a little bit better than if you start out with hot water. It's nice to start out cold and then bring it up to heat. You do not need, you're going to see a peeler on my board, but you do not need to peel anything. You don't need to peel ginger. You don't need to peel garlic. Just cut it or grate it as is. I always put 4 inches of ginger in my broth. I've done this for 15 years, and I just relish the flavor and just the nutrients that are in ginger. It's very anti-aging. And then I just threw in the end. You could tell I got tired of grating, so I just threw the whole thing in. So now these are some necks that I had frozen. I just pulled them out from a chicken I had roasted, and I kept the necks in a bag, and then this is a whole carcass that I kept in a bag. It's hard for me to throw any bones away because they're so valuable. My coconut oil stays melted because I keep it on top of the refrigerator. If you keep it in a little warmer place in your kitchen, mine is the top of the refrigerator, it will stay melted. And that's it. Now you're going to pour everything in your pressure cooker. You don't need the great big one like I have. Put it on the stove on high, and you're going to leave it on high until it pops up and starts hissing at you. So I can hear something's hissing at me. So once it starts hissing, and wow, it smells so good in here, you're gonna grab your timer and you're gonna set it for 1 hour. Now, the other thing you're gonna do is turn it down to low for the hour, okay? Okay, so it's been an hour. I went and ran my errand. The pressure cooker was on low for the hour, and then it just kind of starts slowly going down more. I'm going to show you the button so you can see it's almost down to the very bottom. So to depressurize your pressure cooker, you're going to just put water. I'm going to do the camera. Put water around your pressure cooker, cold water, to let the pressure go down quickly. You can help it out a little bit if you want, or just let it depressurize with the cold water. Depending on how hot it was, how high, it's going to take a minute or 2 minutes. Okay, you can hear it. The pressure is out. Now, I forgot to add my onion skins earlier. I got everything in there but the onion skins. And those are pretty important to me because I like really beautiful brown. Now, it's really brown, but I like it really brown. So I'm going to add these onion skins. Okay. Okay. And actually, one of the kids doesn't feel very well, so before I throw it back on the stove, I'm going to give him a little cup. I have 2 of these. I use one of these. You'll see it in almost every episode, but I won't talk about it. This tool is like a mini double strainer. I use it if I'm making a quart of tea. I just have barrels of loose leaf tea. I just put them in here and put boiling water in to a quart jar or one of my half-gallon jars, and I'm ready for a party. So for Max, I'm making him a little cup of chicken broth. He doesn't feel well, and this broth is going to have little bits of everything in it. So what I do is I'll just kind of scoop it out of here and pour it into his cup. Great. So I'm going to put it back on the stove, bring it up to pressure, set my timer for an hour, and in 1 hour we will have amazing chicken broth. Okay, so you can hear the hissing. I've turned my timer for an hour, got my timer. You may also want to put the timer on your phone, because if you leave the house or get distracted, a lot of times I'll leave the house and my timer will go off, and then I'll just reset it for another hour. Normally what I like to do is, you can hear how loud the hissing is. That's fine. You've turned your stove down to low, but it takes a while for the pressure cooker to react to the low and kind of bring it down. So it's going to hiss for about a minute, which is great. That means we're making awesome chicken broth in a short amount of time. So set your phone timer as well, and then if you need to run an errand, walk the dog, whatever, you've got double timers, and you're just kind of cognizant of the time. If you leave it on low, it'll just gradually come down in pressure. You shouldn't need to adjust it. Every once in a while, I'll notice, oh, it's dipped below the 2 red lines, and so I'll turn it up to medium for a few minutes and then kind of settle it at low medium. Get to know your stove and your pressure cooker together again. Do a few dishes so that you kind of have a working relationship with your pressure cooker and your stove, and you know what low means to you and what high means to you. My high is very high. That's why my pressure cooker is being so noisy. It's not going to blow the top off. All of the newer pressure cookers, they don't do things like that. So don't worry. If you see a little steam coming out of the sides, it needs to be adjusted a little bit. Sometimes the handle's off a little. Sometimes the middle won't come up, and the steam's coming out, I just kind of help it up a little bit and then whoop, it'll start coming up. So great. I will see you in an hour. And I'm just going to get the chicken broth open and then I'll just pour it in to my strainer. And I think the French term for this is chinois. That's the name of it. Okay, so there's all my broth coming out. And I just throw it away once you're done. You don't want to compost chicken broth. You want to throw away you've gotten absolutely all of the nutrients out that you physically can. Pouring it into glass jars. So whenever you pour a hot wood into a glass jar, always put a knife or a metal something in there and it'll absorb the heat and then the jar won't crack. To show you, this is the broth, but see that on the top? That is the fat. Right now it's really hot, so it's melted, but we're gonna put this in the fridge and then the fat will harden and you can just kind of pick it off. Great, so I hope you enjoyed this video on bone broth. I'm sorry the introduction was so long, but oh, it's so good. It's so good for you. I have this in my coffee mug. I'm about to go play some golf with my kids and be nourished for the rest of the afternoon. My skin, my bones, my joints, everything rejuvenating while I'm enjoying a nice hot cup of bone broth. If this were coffee, any vitamins that I just take in the coffee, the elements in the coffee will block your vitamins for up to an hour. You will not absorb iron, you will not absorb vitamins. It's leaching calcium out of your bones. It's making your blood in your body acidic, and it's hyperactivating your adrenal glands for 8 hours. So the opposite of coffee is bone broth. And if you want to go ketogenic with it, add 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter, and maybe a little extra salt, and you have the perfect hot mug of good deliciousness, ready for your day, charged for the day, nourishing your body instead of giving it something, some kind of fuel that's going to stall out your adrenal glands, stall out your thyroid, and help you have a knee or hip replacement by the age of 40. Great. So have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe. Have patience with me. I am so new to so many of these electronical things that my 12-year-olds are helping me produce these videos. But anyway, thanks again for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.